He's Rick Pitino, Louisville head coach. He joins us now. Coach, did you watch the Christian Laettner documentary?
I did not. My wife showed me a couple of pieces from it she thought was interesting, but I did not see the show.
Laettner said that Louisville is the one place in Kentucky where he feels welcome.
Well, there are 450,000 UK alumni in Louisville. I'm not too sure about that.
Well, he said you might protect him if he went to Louisville.
You know, I have to say this, that people always say, do you hate Christian Laettner? I said, no. I said, he's one of the great college players of all time, top 10. I said, I hate the people that keep mentioning the fact that he made that shot.
But when you go back, and as the coach, how long did that play stay with you on what you did and didn't do?
Well, you know, I have to say, it bothered me for 2 days, and then I watched the game. And I thought it was one of the best college games I've watched by both teams. Jamal Mashburn fouled out in regulation, so we were playing with Pelfrey and Feldhouse and a bunch of guys that, when we came back, their jerseys were lifted to the rafters because of that game. It was just such a remarkable basketball game. We could have won it. You know, people forget we also made a very lucky shot. Sean Woods went down the lane and banked a 12-foot runner. So we believed we could beat them. They played like winners. But when I watched the game, I went away with just a great appreciation for them as well as for us. And I just said it was just a great game we lost. I wish we would have contested Christian Laettner more when he took that shot, but he hadn't missed a shot all the whole game. And my last remarks to the guy was, it's going to Laettner. Whatever you do, don't foul him.
Oh.
And I wish I didn't say that.
Yeah, because Feldhouse backed away, right?
He did. He didn't challenge it. Some people, questioned, put a guy on the ball, not put a guy on the ball. And I don't think that was a mistake because I've done it both ways. I've seen it, games won and lost both ways. The mistake was made. We were too conservative in the way we played him. I told him two things. It was going to go to him, and he was either going to pass it quickly to the wing for a jump shot, or he would take the shot. And I said, whatever you do, don't foul. I wish I didn't say that. I wish I would have said, whatever you do, knock the ball down, steal the ball, give him a different message than that.
He's Rick Pitino, Louisville head coach. He's got UC Irvine coming up on Friday, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. I've been lamenting the fact that, and I'm one of those guys who says, oh, basketball used to be so great and the rivalries and all those things, and we'll never have that again. But I just don't want the sport to lose sight of how much fun it should be. Offensively, it's slowing down even more, Rick, and scoring is down. I'll give credit to defense and better athletes, but you know what? Those better athletes also play offense as well. How do we get more offense, more fun into this game, more movement?
Well, it's interesting, Dan, because about 15 years ago, I was one of 15 people that David Stern called. I was a pro coach at the time. And I remember Larry Brown, Hubie Brown, Pat Riley, a bunch of general managers were all there at David Stern's request because there was only one team in the NBA averaging more than 100 points. And I laughed at it because I remember being with the New York Knicks when we averaged 116.8 points per game, and we were third in the league in scoring. There was only one team not scoring 100. So I saw the big change in the NBA, the way we've changed in college, so nobody could score over 100. But Stern was bent on doing something about it. And we tried to come up with all these things, 8 seconds in the backcourt, changing the zone rules, on and on and on. Everybody had different ideas. But in the end, it was calling more fouls and taking some aggressive defense away from the game in order to score more points. Well, we did that a little bit last year, and everybody protested that the game's taken too long, too many fouls are being called. Well, the NBA adjusted. We abandoned it too early, and right now I totally agree. The defense is too good. It's the technology behind the defense is so good that we haven't adjusted our game like the NBA adjusted their game, and their game is better right now. Now, last night there was a great game between BYU and Ole Miss.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, very exciting, and we need to get more of that. Now, the 30-second shot clock will definitely help. I mean, the women have been playing with it 30 seconds for so long, but the one thing I did find out about college basketball is most of the people on the rules committee are from lower Division I or Division II schools. So we need to get more of the top 5 conferences in there to get more rule changes, create more scoring. So you're right. It's not a great game right now, even though March Madness is awesome. We need to get more scoring in our game, and we need to develop, whether it's calling more fouls and sticking with it, getting more freedom of movement, 30-second shot clock. But it definitely, we have to go the NBA route because now the NBA is fun again.
What would you do what's the ideal one and done? Is there something you could modify? I want to change it, give you a chance to come out of high school and play if you want to, and if you don't, you can go to the D League and wait, or you stay 2 years. I know I'm asking too much there, but what would your ideal, blueprint?
The ideal thing would be what football has. That's ideal. I agree with you 100%. Let the kids this is not an education they're getting. I mean, let's face it, they're going to school for 6 months. Then they take first semester, then second semester they're taking online courses, so the APR is not hurt with certain places. It's not about education. It's not a good system. So the bottom, let the kids go out of high school, and if they don't make it, let them go to the D League. College is not for everybody. It's making a little bit of a farce of the educational system. So let kids go out of high school. If they don't want to, let them go to the D League. Let them have a minor league system. The kids that want to go to college, let them go for 2 or 3 years, get an education, obviously a social education, an emotional education, an academic education, and we'd all be better for it. So it's just not a good situation right now, and that's not taking a shot at Kentucky because Kentucky's doing it. John Calipari and Kentucky will have a great program regardless of what the rule. If it's 2 years, they'll have a great program. If it's 3 years, they'll have a great program. So their program's not going to diminish. Kentucky's always going to be Kentucky.
Yeah, John didn't make the rule. He's just taken advantage of the rule. But
he's just taken it to the letter of the law and doing an unbelievable job with it. But
speaking of Kentucky,
but we do need to change.
If Kentucky runs the table here, Rick, can you compare apples to apples of one of the great teams of all time? Can I put them in with Indiana in the mid-'70s or any of the UCLA teams or whatever team you might want to throw in there?
Well, I don't think they're as good as my 96 team. And because you remember, the SEC was much tougher back then,
yep.
Much tougher teams. And our average margin of victory back then in the SEC, I believe, was 28 points per game. They've had a lot of close games. So I think they're an awesome basketball team, one of the best of all time. But because of what they're doing, how they're unselfish, they don't care about minutes. They play unbelievable defense. That's a credit to John's, credit to the kids, that it's not about their numbers. And I think what John tells them, look, you get on the national stage, regardless of how many points you score, you're going to be a first-round draft choice. It doesn't matter. Everybody's going to win in this situation. So I think they're going to go down as one of the great teams of all time, and I think somebody's going to have to play a Villanova-type game to beat them. It's going to have to be that perfect game. It's going to have to be a slow situation. You're going to have to take Kentucky's possessions away from them. If not, they're not going to beat themselves because he can bring in another 5 guys if those 5 aren't playing well.
How do you prepare your team when you face somebody? How tall is that kid with UC Irvine?
He's 7'6", 300 pounds. Yep.
Okay. Do you simulate? How do you simulate a 7? You don't have a 7'6" guy on your roster.
We have 2 7-footers. One young man from Norway, one young man from Egypt, and they're not 7'6". I called a couple of people in the league, and their remark was, "Don't take the film and think he's not a rim protector." He said he bothers everybody around the rim. So, we've been trying to simulate him, but we can't. But we know we have to create a lot of movement and get him away from the basket.
Well, and how much studying have you been able to do on UC Irvine?
We were fortunate. We thought we'd be a 4 or 5 seed, and we went through about 7, 8 teams we thought we could potentially play by Lenardi and all the other people that were, and Irvine was one of the teams. So we've watched about 8 to 10 films of them.
Oh, okay.
They play 2-3 zones, so when they play him, they sit him in the middle of the lane. They've got great shooters around them, and their best players are power forward.
When you face Kentucky, it would be in the final game if you happen to get there.
I would love to see that. I'd love to have a rematch. We played them tough the first time, couldn't score against them, that nobody can. But it would be awesome if we could possibly get there, but it's a long ways off.
Hey, good luck on Friday. Always great to catch up with you, Coach. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Take care.
All right, Rick Pitino.